Look in the mirror right now. What do you see? I tell you what you see. You see exactly what you've been telling yourself you are. That reflection staring back at you is not just flesh and bone. It's the physical manifestation of every conversation you've had with yourself for the past 10, 20, 30 years of your life. And if you don't like what you see, if you're not living the life you dreamed of, if you're stuck in mediocrity while watching others soar past you, then we need to have a serious conversation about the conversation you're having with yourself. You see, there's a dialogue happening inside your head right now. It never stops. From the moment you wake up until the moment you fall asleep, there's a voice commenting on everything: your appearance, your abilities, your chances of success, your worthiness of love, your potential for greatness. And here's what most people don't realize. That voice, that internal narrator, is the architect of your destiny. It's not your circumstances that determine your life. It's the story you tell yourself about those circumstances. Now, the conversation that shapes your destiny doesn't happen in boardrooms or at networking events. It happens in the privacy of your own mind. And if you can master that conversation, if you can control that narrative for just 3 days, 72 hours, you can literally rewire your brain and redirect the entire trajectory of your life. This isn't wishful thinking or positive psychology fluff. This is neuroscience. This is how champions are made. This is how ordinary people become extraordinary. Your brain is the most sophisticated computer ever created, but here's the thing about computers. They only process the information you feed them. And for most of your life, you've been feeding your brain the wrong data. You've been programming it with limitation instead of possibility, with fear instead of faith, with excuses instead of excellence. But today, that changes. Today, you become the programmer of your own success. The human brain processes approximately 60,000 thoughts per day. That's 60,000 opportunities to either build yourself up or tear yourself down. 60,000 chances to either move closer to your dreams or further away from them. And the tragedy is that most people use those 60,000 thoughts to reinforce their limitations rather than expand their possibilities. They wake up and immediately start the same tired conversation. I'm not smart enough, I'm not talented enough, I don't have enough connections, I don't have enough money, I'm too old, I'm too young, it's too late, it's too hard. But successful people, and I mean truly successful people, not just those who stumble into temporary luck, they have a completely different internal dialogue. When they wake up, their brain is having a different conversation. They're not focusing on what they lack, they're affirming what they're becoming. They're not rehearsing their failures, they're programming their victories. They understand that success is an inside job, and they treat their mind like the sacred temple it is. Here's what I want you to understand. Your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. It cannot distinguish between an actual experience and a mentally rehearsed one. This is why athletes spend hours visualizing their performance, why surgeons practice procedures in their minds before stepping into the operating room, why great speakers rehearse their presentations mentally before taking the stage. They understand that the mind is a training ground for reality. So if your subconscious mind believes whatever you tell it most consistently, then why are you telling it stories of limitation? Why are you programming it with poverty consciousness when you could be installing abundance software? Why are you feeding it failure scenarios when you could be nourishing it with success strategy? The difference between people who live extraordinary lives and those who settle for mediocrity isn't talent, luck, or connections. It's the quality of their self-talk. Victims have victim conversations with themselves. Victors have victory conversations. Poor people have poor conversations. Rich people have rich conversations. Unhappy people rehearse unhappiness. Joyful people practice joy. This is why I'm challenging you to commit to a 72-hour transformation. 3 days of intentional, disciplined, strategic self-talk that will literally rewire your neural pathways and reprogram your subconscious mind for success. Not 3 months, not 3 weeks, 3 days. Because when you understand the power of focused intention combined with consistent action, you realize that transformation doesn't require time as much as it requires intensity. Think about it, how long does it take to change a habit? Psychologists used to say 21 days, but recent research shows that simple habits can be formed in as little as 18 to 254 days, depending on the complexity. But we're not talking about forming a habit here. We're talking about an emergency intervention in your thought life. We're talking about interrupting the negative programming that's been running in your subconscious mind and installing a new operating system. Your mind is like a garden. For years, you've allowed weeds to grow, weeds of doubt, fear, insecurity, and limitation. These weeds have taken over the landscape of your consciousness, choking out any possibility of success and happiness. But in just 3 days of intensive mental gardening, you can begin to uproot those weeds and plant seeds of greatness that will grow into a harvest of success. Now let me tell you what's going to happen over the next 3 days and why this process is so powerful. Day 1 is about destruction. We're going to identify and eliminate the limiting beliefs that have been sabotaging your success. Day 2 is about construction. We're going to build a new identity and install empowering beliefs that align with your highest potential. Day 3 is about sustainability. We're going to create systems and habits that ensure this transformation becomes permanent. But before we dive into the 3-day process, you need to understand the science behind why this works. Your brain has something called neuroplasticity, the ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. Every time you think a thought, you're creating or strengthening a neural pathway. Think the same thought repeatedly, and that pathway becomes a superhighway. This is why negative thought patterns feel so automatic. You've been traveling down those neural superhighways for so long that your brain defaults to them without conscious effort. But here's the beautiful thing about neuroplasticity. It works both ways. Just as you've trained your brain to think limiting thoughts, you can retrain it to think empowering thoughts. Just as you've programmed it for failure, you can reprogram it for success. And the fastest way to create new neural pathways is through repetition combined with emotion. When you repeatedly tell yourself something with passion and conviction, your brain has no choice but to believe it and begin acting on it. This is exactly what successful people do, whether they realize it or not. Michael Jordan didn't become the greatest basketball player of all time by accident. He programmed his mind for greatness through constant positive self-talk and mental rehearsal. Oprah Winfrey didn't build a media empire by focusing on her limitations. She consistently spoke to herself about her potential and possibilities. Every great achiever throughout history has understood this principle. You become what you consistently tell yourself you are. But most people do the opposite. They wake up and immediately start a negative dialogue. I don't want to go to work today. I hate my job. I'm so tired. I look terrible. I feel awful. Nothing ever goes right for me. And then they wonder why their life looks exactly like their self-talk. They've been programming their subconscious mind for misery, and their subconscious mind is simply delivering what they've ordered. Your subconscious mind is like a faithful servant. It doesn't judge your requests. It doesn't question your commands. It simply works tirelessly to make your dominant thoughts your living reality. If you consistently think thoughts of lack, it will find ways to create lack in your life. If you consistently think thoughts of abundance, it will find ways to create abundance. It's not personal. It's not playing favorites. It's simply following the program you've installed. So let's install a new program. Let's spend the next 3 days having a completely different conversation with yourself. Instead of focusing on what's wrong with your life, let's focus on what's possible. Instead of rehearsing your failures, let's program your victories. Instead of affirming your limitations, let's declare your potential. Day one is about identifying and destroying the limiting beliefs that have been running your life. Most people are completely unconscious of their self-talk. They have no idea how negatively they speak to themselves throughout the day. They wouldn't talk to their worst enemy the way they talk to themselves, yet they wonder why they lack confidence and motivation. Today you're going to become aware of every conversation happening in your head. You're going to catch yourself every time you say something limiting, discouraging, or defeating. And then you're going to immediately interrupt that pattern and replace it with truth. When you catch yourself saying, I can't do this, you're going to stop and say, I'm learning how to do this. When you catch yourself saying, I'm not smart enough, you're going to interrupt and declare, I have everything I need to succeed. The power of I am statements cannot be overstated. Whatever follows those two words becomes your reality. When you say, I am broke, you're programming your subconscious mind to maintain and create more broke experiences. When you say, I am struggling, you're ordering your subconscious to deliver more struggle. But when you begin to use I am statements intentionally and strategically, everything changes. Start saying, I am successful, I am prosperous, I am confident, I am capable, I am valuable, I am worthy, I am powerful, I am destined for greatness. Your logical mind might initially resist these statements, especially if your current circumstances don't reflect them yet. But remember, your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between current reality and future possibility. It simply accepts whatever you tell it most consistently and begins working to make it true. This is why you must be ruthless about eliminating limiting language from your vocabulary. Stop saying things like, I can't afford it. Start saying, I'm finding a way to afford it. Stop saying, I'm too old. Start saying, I'm at the perfect age for success. Stop saying, I don't have time. Start saying, I'm making time for what matters most. Stop saying, I'm not lucky. Start saying, I create my own opportunities. On day one, you're also going to identify the source of your limiting beliefs. Most of them aren't even yours. They inherited programming from parents, teachers, society, and past experiences. Maybe a teacher told you that you weren't smart enough. Maybe a parent said you'd never amount to anything. Maybe society convinced you that success was only for certain types of people. Maybe a past failure convinced you that you don't have what it takes. But here's the truth. Those beliefs were installed when you were younger, less experienced, and more impressionable. You accepted them as truth when you didn't know any better. But now you're older, wiser, and more powerful. You have the ability to examine those beliefs, question their validity, and choose to keep or discard them. And any belief that doesn't serve your highest good needs to be eliminated immediately. Replace I can't with I'm learning how to. Replace it's impossible with I'll find a way. Replace I'm not qualified with I'm becoming qualified. Replace I don't deserve success with I'm worthy of every good thing. Replace people like me don't succeed with I'm creating a new story for people like me. Day two is about construction, building your new identity through strategic self-talk. This is where you begin speaking your future into existence. You're going to start having conversations with yourself as if you're already the person you want to become. You're going to start thinking thoughts and speaking words that align with your desired destiny. If you want to be wealthy, start thinking wealthy thoughts and speaking wealthy words. If you want to be healthy, start affirming health and vitality. If you want to be confident, start declaring confidence. If you want to be successful, start programming success into your subconscious mind. Don't wait until you feel like it. Start doing it now, and the feelings will follow. This is how leaders think and speak. They don't wait for permission to see themselves as leaders. They start leading in their minds first. They don't wait for the title to start thinking like CEOs. They install CEO consciousness before they get the corner office. They understand that external change follows internal change, not the other way around. Start creating mental blueprints through your self-talk. If you want to own a business, start talking to yourself like a business owner. If you want to be a published author, start affirming your identity as a writer. If you want to be fit and healthy, start speaking to yourself like someone who prioritizes wellness. Your self-talk should reflect your aspirations, not your current limitation. Combine your verbal declarations with vivid visualization. See yourself already living the life you desire. Feel the emotions of having achieved your goals. Experience the satisfaction of success in your imagination. The more real you can make it in your mind, the more likely your subconscious will be to create it in your reality. This isn't fantasy or wishful thinking. This is how high achievers program their minds for success. Olympic athletes spend countless hours mentally rehearsing their performances. They see themselves winning gold medals. They feel the weight of the medal around their necks. They hear their national anthem playing. By the time they get to the competition, they've already won it dozens of times in their minds. You need to do the same thing with your goals and dreams. Start winning in your mind first. Start succeeding in your imagination. Start living your best life in your thoughts and words. Your subconscious mind will begin working immediately to close the gap between your mental rehearsal and your physical reality. Day 3 is about sustainability. Making positive self-talk a permanent part of your operating system. The goal isn't just to feel good for 3 days. The goal is to create lasting transformation that compounds over time. This is where you establish the daily practices and systems that will ensure your new way of thinking becomes automatic. Create morning and evening self-talk rituals. Start each day by programming your mind with positive, empowering declarations. End each day by affirming your progress and possibilities. Make it as routine as brushing your teeth or checking your phone. Consistency is the key to rewiring your neural pathways permanently. Develop your personal success vocabulary, a collection of words and phrases that instantly elevate your thinking and energy. Instead of saying you're okay, say you're outstanding. Instead of saying you're trying, say you're committed. Instead of saying you hope something happens, say you know it will happen. The words you use shape the thoughts you think, and the thoughts you think create the life you live. Deal with setbacks by maintaining your new programming. Your old thought patterns will try to reassert themselves, especially during challenging times. This is normal and expected. The key is to quickly recognize negative self-talk and immediately redirect it. Don't judge yourself for having negative thoughts. Just consistently choose better ones. Remember, you're not trying to eliminate all challenges from your life. You are building the mental strength to handle any challenge that comes your way. You're developing unshakable confidence that comes from knowing you can overcome anything through the power of your thoughts and words. The compound effect of consistent positive self-talk is extraordinary. Just like compound interest grows your money over time, compound self-talk grows your success over time. Every positive declaration builds on the previous one. Every empowering thought strengthens your neural pathways. Every day of disciplined mental programming moves you closer to your goals. Think about people who have transformed their lives dramatically. They didn't just change their actions, they changed their inner dialogue first. The person who loses 100 pounds doesn't just change their diet and exercise routine, they change how they talk to themselves about food, health, and their body. The person who builds $1 million business doesn't just change their business strategy, they change their self-talk about money, success, and their worthiness to achieve it. This 3-day challenge isn't just about positive thinking, it's about strategic thinking. It's about intentionally programming your subconscious mind with the beliefs, attitudes, and expectations that successful people carry. It's about installing the mental software that automatically moves you toward your goals rather than away from them. Your mind will resist this change initially. It's comfortable with your current programming, even if that programming is creating results you don't want. Change feels uncomfortable, even positive change. Your brain is wired to keep you safe, and safe often means staying the same. But growth requires stepping outside your comfort zone. Push through the resistance. Commit to the process, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. This is where most people quit, right at the point where the transformation would begin to take hold. They start strong, but when the initial excitement wears off and the work becomes routine, they abandon the process and return to their old patterns. But you're different. You're committed to excellence. You understand that extraordinary results require extraordinary commitment. You're willing to do what others won't do so you can live like others can't live. You're ready to have uncomfortable conversations with yourself so you can create comfortable outcomes in your life. The ripple effect of changing your self-talk will amaze you as you begin to think and speak differently about yourself. You'll notice that your relationships improve. People are drawn to confident, positive energy. Your career prospects will expand because you'll carry yourself differently and take actions that align with your new self-impose. Your finances will improve because you'll make decisions from abundance consciousness rather than scarcity thinking. You'll become a magnet for opportunities, because successful people recognize and are attracted to success consciousness. You'll notice synchronicities and lucky breaks that are actually the result of your heightened awareness and changed vibration. When you change your inner world, your outer world has no choice but to change as well. Here's your 72-hour challenge. For the next 3 days, monitor every conversation you have with yourself. Catch negative self-talk immediately and replace it with empowering language. Use I am statements to program your desired identity. Visualize your goals while affirming your ability to achieve them. Create morning and evening self-talk rituals. Speak to yourself like the champion you're becoming. Set up an accountability system. Write down your new empowering statements and read them multiple times per day. Record yourself speaking your affirmations and listen to them regularly. Share your commitment with someone who will support your transformation. Take before and after pictures of your energy and confidence levels. Here's what to expect during your transformation. Day 1 might feel awkward as you interrupt old patterns and install new ones. Day 2 will feel more natural as your new programming begins to take hold. Day 3 will feel empowering as you experience the compound effect of consistent, positive self-talk. By the end of 72 hours, you'll have created new neural pathways that support success rather than sabotage it. The commitment that changes everything is this. You must be willing to be uncomfortable for 3 days in order to be comfortable for the rest of your life. You must be willing to question every limiting belief you've accepted as truth. You must be willing to speak to yourself with the same kindness and encouragement you would offer your best friend. You must be willing to become your own biggest cheerleader instead of your harshest critic. Your future self is counting on the decision you make right now. The person you'll be 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that person's quality of life depends on whether you're willing to commit to this 3-day transformation. Don't let that future version of yourself down. Don't sentence them to a lifetime of mediocrity because you weren't willing to invest 72 hours in changing your inner dialogue. The conversation that determines your destiny is happening right now inside your head. Make sure it's a conversation worthy of the extraordinary life you were born to live. Make sure it's a conversation that builds you up rather than tears you down. Make sure it's a conversation that moves you toward your dreams rather than away from them. You have everything you need to succeed. You have a brain capable of generating brilliant ideas. You have a voice capable of speaking success into existence. You have hands capable of taking action on your dreams. You have a heart capable of inspiring others through your example. The only thing standing between you and the life you desire is the conversation you're having with yourself about whether it's possible. Stop having small conversations with yourself about small possibilities. Start having big conversations about big dreams. Stop programming limitation and start installing greatness. Stop rehearsing failure and start practicing victory. Your words have power. Your thoughts have creative force. Your self-talk shapes your destiny. The next 3 days will determine the next 3 decades of your life. Make them count. Make them transformational. Make them the beginning of the greatest comeback story ever told, your own. You were born for greatness. Now start talking to yourself like you believe it. But let me be crystal clear about something. This isn't about pretending everything is perfect when it's not. This isn't about denying reality or living in a fantasy world. This is about taking control of the one thing you have absolute power over, your response to reality. You can't always control what happens to you, but you can always control what you say to yourself about what happens to you. When challenges come, and they will come, your new self-talk will be your greatest weapon. Instead of saying, why me? You'll say, how can I grow from this? Instead of saying, this is terrible, you'll say, this is temporary. Instead of saying, I can't handle this, you'll say, I'm stronger than I know. Your problems won't disappear, but your ability to handle them will multiply exponentially. The most successful people in the world aren't those who never face problems. They're those who face problems with a different internal dialogue. They speak to themselves like problem solvers, not problem dwellers. They program their minds for solutions, not symptoms. They focus on what they can control, not what they can't. Here's a powerful truth that will serve you well. Your current situation is not your final destination. Where you are right now is simply where you're starting from, not where you're ending up. Your past does not determine your future unless you allow it to through your self-talk. Every morning you wake up with a clean slate and the opportunity to write a new chapter in your story. Start treating your mind like the sacred space it is. You wouldn't allow someone to come into your home and dump garbage on your living room floor, so why would you allow negative thoughts to dump garbage in your mental space? Become the guardian of your thoughts, the protector of your inner dialogue, the curator of your consciousness. Remember, confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you build through consistent, positive self-talk. Every time you speak to yourself with kindness and encouragement, you're making a deposit into your confidence account. Every time you affirm your abilities and potential, you're building the foundation for future success. Every time you choose empowering language over limiting language, you're literally rewiring your brain for greatness. Your transformation starts now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready. Right now, in this moment, with the very next thought you think and the very next word you speak to yourself, you have the power to change your life in the next 3 days. The question isn't whether you can. The question is whether you will. Stand up right now and declare out loud, I am in control of my thoughts. I am the author of my story. I am destined for greatness. Feel those words resonate through your entire being. Let them sink deep into your subconscious mind. This is your declaration of independence from limitation, your proclamation of possibility, your commitment to excellence. The old you ends today. The new you begins right now. 3 days from now, you'll look back on this moment as the turning point when everything changed. The choice is yours. Choose greatness.